Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Pokemon Alpha Sapphire. In the last part we finally concluded our duties over at the Battle Maison, and now it's time for us to finally check in at the contest halls across Hoenn. We first got the idea that we could actively do this when we first reached, and we're technically first leaving Slateport all the way back in like part 4 or 5 I believe. But now, 40 parts in, it's time for us to actively do what you can do in here. Why did I wait this long? For one thing, I think it's better just to do all of them in a blitz for LP's sake, just so it all flows pretty carefully. But also, and this is the more important thing, I think it's best to access these as late as you can, so you can have as much of a move set built up as you can, either with the moves you already have, TMs you can find across the world, or even using, say, the move tutors over at the Battle Resort in case you want to. Hello again, been a while.
Oh, Kyle! Could it be? Oh, could it? Are you really going to try a contest for me? Oh, I'm happier than a gloom with a sunstone. Ah, I know, this chapter of your story should definitely be called... My Big Beginning, a heart-pounding contest debut. That's what I'm calling it. Ooh, but if you're gonna take the stage, you gotta come with me first. So, if you're taking on a contest spectacular, there's something you have to have from me. I know it's sudden, sorry. Truth is, you're actually the 100th trainer that I've scouted, Kyle. That's a really big deal, you know? It's gotta be fate, right? I think you're just the trainer I've been looking for. Oopsie, sorry. Got a little carried away. But, the point was, would you like to, well, do you think, want to wear this for your contest debut?
To kind of be more in line with what Gen 4 and 5 would do with their contest adjacent stuff, they actively give Brendan and May new outfits for this specific mode. Here's May, since you're seeing Brendan's here.
So cool! Oh wow, it's perfect for you! I just can't wait. Your first time on a live contest stage, Kyle. It's gonna be so awesome! I'm not gonna blink even for a second. You look so fantastic in that outfit that I'm about to lose it here. You have to wear this contest costume. It'll be perfect for the contest, promise. I'll be cheering for you.
So now that we have our outfit, we can actually participate.
I really hope you'll win.
As do I. So before we get into it, let's talk to the receptionist on the left to get more of an idea what we're going to do here. Welcome to the Pokemon Contest Spectacular. Some advice for first-timers. During the contest, your Pokemon will show the audience just how lovely it is. First up is the introduction round. The appearance of Pokemon that have raised their coolness, cuteness, or other conditions with Pokeblocks will be judged. After the introduction round, it's time for the talent round. It's a competition to determine how well Pokemon can use their moves over the course of 5 turns. Use moves that match the condition of the contest to make the audience go crazy. If you check the moves of the Pokemon that you want to put into the contest, you can see that they're split into 5 different conditions, such as coolness and cuteness. If you're in a contest with the same title as that condition, you can use that move to appeal to the crowd. After you place first in a normal rank contest, you can win your way through higher ranks. Very well. Let's show off for the judges and have fun. Welcome to the Pokemon Contest Spectacular. This specific reception is for multiplayer. The single player one is the one on the right. So before we actually go into the contest outright, we need to talk about Pokeblocks. With the Pokeblock kit we got much earlier in the LP. Pokeblocks are what raise your contest stats that a Pokemon can have. They are raised by making Pokeblocks of a specific color and feeding them to the Pokemon. The Pokeblock colors are largely made by using berries of that color, which is noted on the middle of the screen next to the name of the berry in question. The way I do the contests in this LP is that I showcase all of the ranks of the contests in the coolness contest with Blaze. Then I choose a party member from the rest of my team, look at the moves they can learn, and make different move sets for them and put them through one of the contests each, just so we can have all of the master ranks done across the LP. Now thankfully, I didn't need to super grind out any berries for this. I had enough berries for what I actively needed to do just inherently. With that said, if you want to do a lot of master rank stuff and raise a lot of Pokemon up to the max contest stats, you need to do a lot of berry grinding. With that said, raising your contest stats here will help you out a lot, and I'll get more to the specifics once we're actively in the first contest we do. But you really need to keep in mind a Pokemon's moveset. By default, Blaze, with what I've given them thus far, actively has 4 cool moves, which is perfect for what I need early on. But as you get higher up in the ranks, you are going to need to change up your moveset into something that can play well with itself. Doing the lower ranks of the contest, like we're going to start off with here, you can probably do pretty well if you only have 1 or 2 moves for the contest stat in question. But by the time you reach the highest rank, you really want to think through your moveset, find things that combo well off of each other and all that, and you need to prepare for it. You don't need as much preparation as, say, the Battle Maison or Battle Frontier adjacent post-game stuff, but you do need to keep it in mind. Notably, I largely stick by making single-color Pokeblocks, but there are some you can make that have multicolors that actively do a lot for different stats. But for what I need here, it's not something I'm going to do. And just for the sake of us, I'm going to speed up the rest of the Pokeblock feeding just to get it out of the way. Now, I did actively raise Blaze's beauty a little bit here, and there is a bit of a reason for that, but I actively max it as well as Blaze's, I think coolness is to the left of that later on as well. Because in order to get the best performance in a contest, you not only want to have the main stat of the contest maxed out, you want to have the 2 adjacent ones to it, at the least I'd say halfway full for a lot of extra help. I'll talk more about the exact numbers of that once we're in the proper contest, though, just so it's a little more relevant to what's going on. Now, Battle Maison took me 40 plus hours of gameplay to do. The contests in comparison were maybe 2 hours, 3 hours. These are a lot simpler to get done than the Maison at the end of the day. Before we do anything else, though, because I have Blaze's coolness maxed out, we can actively come over to the president of the Pokemon fan club here in Slateport and get an item from him. In specific, he's going to give me a red scarf. The scarves boost the contest stat in question by a certain amount, and you can only get them after having them past another certain amount. I don't use the scarves overall in this LP, but worth noting, the big use case for them is, say you have a Pokemon with a specific contest stat being used. You can either give them the matching color scarf to boost them along the way so you don't have to grind out Pokeblocks as much, or you can give it to them matching one of their adjacent stats so they can do a little bit better in the way that would actively help you. Again, I'll talk about that in a moment. Also, that NPC there on the left, he'll actively turn on the 3DS's camera or turn it back off to have certain other backgrounds going in the contest itself. Your entry is accepted. Number 4, right this way, please. Time for our first Pokemon contest. I hated these as a kid. I'm neutral with them now. So off the bat in the contest, you get the title and rank, and then they introduce all 4 participants. It doesn't look like it, but depending on what you've done with your contest stats, you can actively lose the contest at this point. For instance, we saw some clapping and light rods for the errand there. The amount of applause here actively gives points to you at the end of the contest. In specific, they take the full value of the condition that the contest actively focuses on, so the coolness stat for these Pokemon, and 50% of the value of each of the secondary contest stats, which are the 2 adjacent stats for the stat in question. So for the coolness contest, it's, I think, the beauty and coolness of the Pokemon in question that will give you a solid boost here. Hence why we get this flashy-ass intro. We're very much in the lead, hence all the extra particles we're going to get here as well. Notably, back in Gen 3, there was another condition to a Pokemon known as a Sheen that actively played into the introduction round points, but that's not a thing in Gen 6 here at all. And now for the main gameplay of Contest, the Appeal moves. Here we're going to spend 5 rounds using any of our 4 moves to appeal the judges and audiences to up our score at the end. Your score is tallied up by the amount of hearts you earn during every single individual round. For instance, I just got 4 hearts, or about 40 points, because I used Thunder Punch, which has no additional effect, but I gained an extra 10 points for exciting the audience. You do that by using a move that's either the exact same type as what the audience is looking for, in this case a cool move, or sometimes for moves of the adjacent stats. With that said, the real strategy here is figuring out where you're going to be placed in the next round and what move you should use based on what Pokemon around you are actively doing. On that note, the way turn order works is that in the first round, it's placed in order first to last, whoever got the most points during the introduction round. But after that, it's whoever had the most points in the previous round goes first, and then it goes down the list from there. So since I have the second most hearts, I'm going second this turn. With that said, worth noting, there are moves you can use to actively abuse turn order. Namely, things like Quick Attack will allow you to go first the next turn no matter what, and moves like Dragon Tail or Vital Flow will make you go last no matter what. Alternatively, there's things like Wonder Room that actively just completely randomize who's going first, I believe. Other effects to keep in mind with moves as you use them throughout here are moves that have jamming power, which actively drain hearts from the Pokemon that usually move right before you, but sometimes from every Pokemon that's already gone. Moves that amp you up and make you more likely to do better the next turn. Ones that make you more resistant to being startled. But also there's amped up points, which is represented as a star on your Pokemon's profile on the bottom screen. For every star you have, you earn an additional heart whenever you actively do a move. The main strategy I like to rely on, though, for the Pokemon contest that I'm not really doing a good case of showcasing here, is combos. There are some moves that when used once and then followed up by another one, directly boost the amount of hearts tremendously. Here on the normal ranks, it's not really going to be as important, but by the time you reach the master ranks, you're going to want to research what moves do what combos, whether or not your Pokemon can learn them, or if they would go with what you're doing otherwise. Worth noting as well, if you're trying to optimize your score, don't use the same move twice in a row unless it's a move that otherwise dictates you maybe can, because that does lessen the amount of points you get. The strategy due to that I like to actively adopt in contests as I go is find one combo with the Pokemon I throw in there to use twice in a row for my first 4 moves, and then use a move that's otherwise strong but means I can't move the next turn on the final turn so I can ignore its negative effect. This right here is what happens if you fill up the star meter. You do a special animation and you get a notable heart boost, meaning you get a lot more points. The issue is, as you can see, you're not the only one that can fill that meter. You need to kind of game around as well with what order you're going to place your turn in to see if you can actively get that boost. There's times where getting it's going to be really worth it. There's times where you realize, oh, the Pokemon who's probably ultimately in last is going to get it, and thus it's not going to make that big of a difference. You really need to react accordingly to what you see happening around you. Try to always aim for getting the 5th star yourself, but don't worry too much about if you can't, because a good strategy with your moves means you can probably overcome a lot of that when it comes to the early ranks, at least. Worth noting with the audience excitement meter up there. If you have a Pokemon that can Mega Evolve and have their held item be the Mega Stone when you enroll them in the contests, they do Mega Evolve in that special animation, which I think is technically called the Spectacular Talent animation, and they stay in that state for the rest of the contest. In doing so, they actively do gain a higher heart bonus from the Spectacular Talent animation than Pokemon who aren't Mega Evolving. I think it's like 8 hearts versus 5. So while, say, having the Scarf can be a nice held item to help boost your chances, I personally like to try and max out the star meter myself, get the audience hype up, do the Spectacular Talent, and gain a bigger boost from that more times per contest, but your mileage may vary on how worthwhile a strategy that is, depending on what your moveset is, what Pokemon you're enrolling, and all that. There are some Pokemon who are just better suited for certain contests than others. More specifically, this is largely due to whatever their learn set actively can go into. I'd say largely there's at least one contest every Pokemon can do decently well in, but people have done a good bit of research into this, and there's largely just some that are really good for some. I think, for instance, Blaziken's considered one of the best Pokemon for the cool tournaments, hence why I'm actively using Blaze here. But again, your mileage may vary. Like with the rest of this game, you can really do whatever you want here as long as you're actively planning around what to do correctly. I didn't really like contests as a kid because I thought they were a little bit slow and didn't really feel like they had much of a point. And I still don't think they're super necessary, but they are a neat little extra mode to have around. Plus, not for nothing, the contest spectaculars here in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire definitely did trim some of the very limited fat they had in Ruby Sapphire and able to actually make them quite a bit faster to go through. After 5 rounds of move usage, the talent round is complete, and they tally the scores from the 2 rounds in total. The way they do this is they have a meter that fills for every single Pokemon. The higher the meter gets, the higher the score was. Your score is notably split into 2 colors. The blue score is your score during the introduction round. The pink score is your score during the talent round. And as you can see, because I have really maxed out Blaze's cool stat off the bat, he was already outperforming the Makuwaku Frame 1 in that contest. Upon taking first place in a contest, you then gain access to the next rank. For instance, now we have access to the super rank. And someone's waiting for us in the green room, so let's go see who it is. I'm so shocked. Kyle, wow, congrats! I watched it all, you were great. I really did it, a star is born. That's what I'm calling it. Kyle, you've got to keep up this pace and just go as far as you can go. Become a real contest star. If you could have as much fun with contest spectaculars as me, I'd be happy as Slugma on a sunny day. You could become a massive star. I've got a good feeling about you. Well, I would hope so. I'm already kind of region champion, so doing pretty good in that regard. While we're on the way to the next rank, though, something else happens. Hello there. Hi, have you got a minute? I guess. I just saw the contest spectacular. Your costume in the contest suited you perfectly. Your look inspired me. I rushed out and created a matching costume for a Pokemon. I know a very fashion-conscious Pikachu called Cosplay Pikachu, and I let it wear the costume. Cosplay Pikachu is a special Pikachu. It's very, very, very fashionable, and any costume looks fantastic on the Pikachu. You'll really, really, really stand out if you two go on stage with matching costumes. Cosplay Pikachu is a unique little thing. The thing about her is that she has a slightly different tail design to begin with, even compared to other female Pikachus. But she has 5 unique costumes. Rockstar, which matches Brendan's costume outfit. Belle. Popstar, which matches May's costume contest outfit. PhD, and Libre. Moving forward, if you have that Pikachu in your party, you can change its costume at any time with the Pokemon Breeder in the green room. The reason you'd want to do that is wearing a specific costume actively boosts that Pikachu's contest stats in a specific category. The Rockstar boosts the cool stat, Belle boosts the beautiful stat, Popstar raises the cute stat, PhD raises the clever stat, and Libre boosts the tough stat. But notably, each costume is also tied to a move that Pikachu will then know that other Pikachu can't normally learn. The Rockstar outfit will allow that Pikachu to know Meteor Mash, which is a Steel-type move that, in main combat, has a 20% chance of raising the user's attack stage by 1 after inflicting damage. However, in contests, you can just use that over and over again and it won't actively bore the audience. The Belle outfit will teach that Pikachu Icicle Crash, which is an ice move that in normal combat does damage and has a 30% chance of causing a flinch. In Contest Spectaculars, though, it has a base appeal of 3 hearts, and I think it actively gives you 2 stars on the hype meter on the top left if used last in a turn. The Popstar outfit can learn Draining Kiss, which is a fairy-type move that does damage in combat and restores the user's HP by 75% of the damage dealt. However, in Contest, I believe it averages together the appeal of the Pokemon that moved before in the turn to give you a score from there. Also, this is what I mean about the spectacular talent. Blaze is now Mega Evolving is going to get a notable heart boost from this specific incident. The PhD Cosplay Pikachu outfit allows it to learn Electric Terrain, which in combat has several effects such as boosting Electric-type moves, prevents certain Pokemon from being afflicted by Sleep or Yawn, Nature Power becomes Thunderbolt and all that, but in Contest specifically, that I believe excites the audience a lot more if used first in a turn, so going first and then using that means you might get an extra star out of it. Meanwhile, the Pikachu Libre outfit gives it Flying Press, which is a fighting-type move that's normally exclusive to the Pokemon Hawlucha. What's unique about it is that when it actively does damage, its effectiveness is determined by both being flying and fighting type. It's one of the few moves that's counted as multi-type in the franchise, really. In contests, though, the way that specific move works is that it'll excite the audience and thus give you a hype meter star, no matter what type of contest you're in, so you can even use that in, like, coolness contests and do decently well with it. Also, you may have noticed I just showcased the normal rank contest again. That was actually an accident gameplay-wise, because I just did it twice. But I left it in just in case I needed enough time to explain more about the mechanics of the contests themselves. As the way we're going to be treating the contests throughout the rest of this part and into next part is I'm going to be speeding them up entirely, so leaving that in and giving myself that little extra buffer made enough sense to me in the editing phase, despite the accident it was in the recording phase. At this point, I'm going across, grabbing various TMs, and going back to the move relearner over in Full Arbor to change Blaze's moveset up to one that's much more tuned for the coolness contests. In specific, I actively do give him, I believe, Focus Energy, and I think it's Shadow Claw on top of that, because that is a very notably easy to find and access move combination in the cool move category, and I'm also teaching Blaze Hyper Beam to be the finisher in the final round. That's going to be the strategy I carry with him through the rest of the contests I do with him on screen. And I do kind of similarly with the other Pokemon on my team, though worth noting, I actively only showcase all of Blaze's contests. I do, I believe, at some point next time, show off all the movesets I taught the rest of my team to use in contests, and from there you can probably just look around and see what moves combo into what, or what their effects are on, like, Bulbapedia and all that. I largely did it like that for the same reason I didn't showcase all 40 hours of the Battle Maison in recording and editing. I figured it was better for all of our sanities and the flow of the LP itself. Also worth noting, you should investigate all 4 individual contest halls that we've seen across Hoenn. The one in Lily Cove, the one in Slateport, the one in Verdant Turf, and the one here in Full Arbor. As the NPCs in individual ones change up enough where you can actively get a new TM or a new item otherwise that you can also grab. Also worth noting, you do gain fans of a sort as you go through, especially higher rank contests, that will be positioned near the entrance hallway to the contest hall. Talking to them, they'll usually give you either some praise or at times even an item. The most common items are rarer berries that you can then use to make better Pokeblocks. Thus, you can prepare yourself better for the next contests you do, and thus get more berries to do the same, and thus it becomes a never-ending cycle of showboating, in a way. Other aspects to note. I believe the contest stats are on a ranging scale from 0 to 255 as you level them up. And worth noting, how good a Pokemon is for a specific stat also depends on their nature. Certain natures will raise stats in a specific contest category faster than others. Others will go a lot worse. Future Me is probably putting a list of what natures work best with what stats and what don't work with what stats on screen as I speak. And worth noting, the contest opponents you can fight along the way are set depending on the rank of the contest. For instance, here in the Cool Contest, the opponents you can run into back in the normal rank all generally have a coolness stat of below 30. Super rank is generally from like 30 something to like 80. Rank 3 hyper rank's gonna be between like mid 70s up to about 130 or so. Meanwhile, master rank is where things can really range because they do generally tend to get towards 200, with 2 notable exceptions that we'll talk about when we actively finish off the contest stuff in the LP. Having finished the super rank properly this time, though, we're going to go once again have another conversation with Lucia.
Ah, that's so cool! Congrats on making to the super rank, Kyle. Looks like we've reached the next chapter in your story. I'm calling it... Is this a dream? Am I a future contest star? Oh, it's so marvelous. I'm sure you're on the path to contest stardom. Don't be a star, Kyle.
Thanks.
Of course. There's something captivating about your performance on stage. I bet you'll have an army of fans in no time. Watch out.
Good luck waiting for me to be your fan.
Chaz?
Who is this supposed to be, Lucia? I'm meant to be your one and only rival. Now look here, maybe you don't know this, but me and Lucia are the most famous rivals in the contest world. When we debuted together back in Lily Cove, we stood at the top of the lighthouse and swore that we would both do our best to win. We talked the whole night till dawn. Well, actually, we talked for about 40 minutes, but it was still amazing!
Come on, Chaz. How many times do I have to tell you that there are no rivals in contests? It's not that kind of a competition. It's the combination of the trainer and his or her Pokemon that...
What's wrong with being rivals? It makes it more fun for the people watching us. Don't try to deny it. When people think of you, they think of me, and the other way around.
When they think of me, they should think of Allie.
Well, that's just the way things are. You get it now, newbie? So you've got your hopes up and all, but Lucia's real rival will always be me. There's no room for you in our dramatic story of success and glory.
Oh, that Chaz, he never listens. Don't mind him, Kyle. I'm not interested in rivals or stuff like that. I just want everyone to have fun together and enjoy contest spectaculars.
Worth noting, always talk to Lucia after one of these cutscenes and you can usually get a little bit more out of her.
Yeah? What is it, Kyle?
So tell me about Allie.
Some people say that Allie sounds like a girl's name, but my Allie is definitely a boy. I always think Allie's the cutest, but if there's more to him than that, when it comes to contests, Allie really shines. We've been doing our best together ever since he was a Swablu. I hope we'll be partners forever.
So about Chaz.
About Chaz. He's a trainer who made his debut in the contest world the same day I did. He's definitely a bit, unique, but he works really hard at what he does.
Gotcha. And again, if you want to change your cosplay Pikachu's outfit at any point in time, just talk to this breeder. Now, from memory, both in recording and from playing this back when the game first released and doing contests back in Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, it's usually the hyper rank contests where I started really having issues and you really need to focus on your moveset as well as what stats you've leveled up along the way a lot more. Because you can kind of coast through the first two just with kind of messing around. But Hyper and Master Rank, you really need to actively have a strategy going in for, otherwise you're probably going to underperform. Also worth noting, about Pokeblocks. In specific, back in Gen 3, there was an extra step to getting them. Namely, we got the Berry Blender item, that you can see the Berry Blenders themselves in the display cases towards the southwest of any given contest hall. You needed to investigate a Berry Blender to make Pokeblocks back in the original Gen 3. And the way it worked was the more players you had, the more, and I think better Pokeblocks you could make. It was effectively a little timing minigame where you had to press the button in time when the cursor was in front of your side of the machine. It was cute, but I'm kind of glad it's not here because the multiplayer necessity to make really good ones always felt awkward. In that regard, I do prefer what they did with Gen 4 in the Poffins, but even then only just. I think when Gen 3, 4, and I believe 5 were new, contests were one of my least favorite parts of the game. That's because A, I didn't really fully understand them yet, and B, I was even more kind of against doing side stuff in games at the time. I feel like age and going for trophy hunting has really softened me on a lot of side modes in games, albeit there's some I still look at and I go, why is this here? You could have just focused more on the main stuff instead of this. But that usually depends on how drastically different it is to the main campaign. Considering how accessory this is to the movesets and all that, it's effectively just you reapplying what you already know in different ways, which can be kind of interesting. In fact, if there's one thing I do appreciate about contests a lot, it's that there are certain moves in any given Pokemon's learn set that isn't great for them to use in the main combat, but in a lot of cases, their contest effects might really lean into what a Pokemon can do really well in that area, and that does lead to moves in certain learn sets being more useful, even if not applicable in the main gameplay styling. 3 contests down, just 1 to go for Blaze at least. Now we can enter the Master Rank, which we'll be doing, I believe, next time. And of course, time for another conversation with Lizia and hopefully not Chaz. There's no jamming my feelings for you. I'll show you the appeal of my love. Oh, Kyle, I was just sneaking in a little rehearsal. I want to shine as an idol, so when I have free time, I get some practice in. But I was getting something more important. You finally made it. You've won a Hyper Rank contest. Wow, fantastic. You're totally on fire, Kyle. You can always count on me, the glittering life of an idol. That's what I'll call this chapter. Don't you think that's perfect, Allie? Oh, I almost forgot to tell you. I'm sure you'll blast right through the next rank too, Kyle. The other contestants will be tough. It's Master Rank, you know? You've got to give your Pokemon plenty of Pokeblocks so their condition is just perfect, and think of the perfect set of moves to use together. But I'm not worried. I know you can do it, Kyle. And, if you win all the contests up to Master Rank, then what would you think about you and me maybe... Hey, Lizia! I know you've been pining away from me, but Chaz is on the scene at last. Oh, Chaz. And ma chérie. I don't think anyone could have said I've been pining, and could you have picked a worse time to interrupt? What could I be interrupting? Nothing worth anything is going on till I'm here. I'm your MVP. Never mind that anyway. Look, ma chérie brought lunch again today, so come and join me for a nice, private... Oh, ma chérie, you scamp. You've got a crush a mile wide on Allie. See, even our Pokemon have good chemistry. We're a perfect pair. It's written in the stars. Destined to be the ultimate rivals. Chaz and Lizia, and you! Here you are again trying to steal my spot as rival, getting in our way. So you happen to win Hyper Rank, and you're not as hopeless as I figured. Sure, it's pretty impressive, and I should congratulate you on it. But still, don't you dream you're ever going to beat me, Chaz. Look, the contest has brought us all together, which is pretty lucky for us. Can you just drop all this talk of winning and losing? Make the most of being here and doing our best. Am I right? Right? Let's all have fun. I've known some people like Chaz before. They suck. Kyle, you want to talk? What were you going to say before? Well, how about I tell you after you win all 5 Master Rank contests, Kyle? See, nothing, never mind. You'll have to win to find out. Suspicious. What's up with Macherie? Oh, Macherie. Well, Chaz says they met on a dark and rainy night. Macherie was a mod shop back then, and someone had just left her there in a box. That's the box that she always carries around with her, you see? I guess it's her fond memento of the moment she and Chaz first met. Well, that's kind of adorable. Well, if you're going to keep going in the contest world, you'd better do your best on stage so you don't embarrass Lazia. She did scout you, after all. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 41, we're going to continue on through our contest arc before finishing off what we can actively do in this across the game. See you guys then.